than to be spouses. So I think there's a appropriate time and place for that, and you should just try to compose yourself. I would probably make some faces and be visibly, on some Benifer type situation where they're always making faces and you can't really decipher what's going on with them because
I feel
it's
like you
it's
can
drama.
decipher what's going on. Ben is tired and Jennifer is like, "Baby, let's go. We
Yeah,
have a image to project."
Benifer. I don't even know why they did that. Didn't you learn the first two times?
He was the love of her life.
I
What do you mean?
guess.
And I mean, obviously they have a connection. It just may not be the connection that, everyone was expecting. Okay, good. Everybody's back in the chat. They can hear us. What we shared was that I'm in house party and I'm in some videos, and we'll go over that at a later
I love
date
it.
and time.
You called yourself a video vixen light. They need to understand.
Video vixen light.
They need to understand that.
Light.
Yes.
Yeah, which means not really, but
Kinda.
kind of. So, anyway, as we talk about BET and its early origins and where they are today, it's so interesting because obviously BET and MTV launched in a similar time frame. MTV really ramped up 80s, early 90s took over. I feel like BET was a consistent thing, but their heyday was later 90s, early 2000s as hip hop started taking
Really?
over the mainstream. I'm going to tell you why. Yeah, I'm going to tell you why.
Did you
Because
just totally discount Donnie Simpson and Sherry
I'm
Carter?
not. No, 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 no.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
not at all. I didn't say that part didn't count. I said that their heyday, the most 106 and Video Soul raised us, but 106 in part set a standard, and the way that it platformed young artists, bringing them together. Video Soul was a lot of things, but it never was a collective moment. You didn't have an audience. It was a collective moment for us. I'm saying
Oh,
as an
okay.
audience, a live studio audience. Like the performances were kind of dry, if you remember, on Video Soul. And let me let you guys in on a little bit of a secret. Well, it's not really a secret, but the reason why you don't see repeats or even like at the 40th anniversary of hits from the streets or Sita or some of those classic episodes of Video Soul is because it wasn't necessarily standard practice at the time to hold on to all of the videos. Some of
What?
that stuff was recorded over, some of it wasn't labeled properly and is degraded, some of it is lost. So that is why, if you notice, as much as we've had BET
No
Awards
way.
and you think about specials, why are there no specials with all the different performances or interviews that happen on Video Soul? I understand the music part, but why don't you ever see any of the interviews? That's why.
You mean to tell me that they did not accurately document history as it was happening? I will get up and walk out of Tavis Smiley's house right now.
Well, don't do that because we still have an hour
Oh, I'm
left.
gonna come back, but just for
However,
dramatic purposes, that is mind blowing. Wow.
so that is why you don't get to
Wow.
see a lot of that old archival footage that is special. Some of those interviews that you just hear about, like as rumored things that have happened, it is because the archiving wasn't necessarily up to par. You have to remember BET, when they were sold to Viacom back in the day, moved their headquarters and operations from Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
to New York. So a lot of things were lost and miscategorized during that
Wow.
process.
Wow.
And that is
In my
why.
mind, someone has all those tapes. Somebody has an archive somewhere. Come on. Really?
I mean, maybe. Someone is asking, I think J. Lou is asking what happened to Sherry Carter. I'm not sure. I think she's still around. Joe Claire. Joe was a comedian, so he was still doing shows. I would see him out here a lot doing comedy shows
Yep.
and things of that nature. I haven't seen him in a couple of years, but maybe 4 years ago, I saw him at like a comedy store or a comedy performance or something like that. So, the legends are still around. They're still, putting it in. I don't know if you got Rachel, obviously from Caribbean Rhythm. She was everybody's crush. And that is
Yes.
another thing that we have to give BET props for. They gave us the diaspora early when we didn't even know we needed it necessarily and didn't have the same amount of avenues as we do now to be able to touch those different parts of the world and those different representations of blackness. So always appreciate that. It's interesting though that in the 90s, both BET and MTV started to pivot, right? MTV started to dig in more with their live programming. I won't say, I mean, obviously, MTV started the resurgence or the birth of reality TV with The Real World. They set the stage for docu-series
Absolutely.
and chronicling life. BET didn't jump on that bandwagon until almost
College Hill.
15, 20 years later.
Yeah.
College Hill, yes. That was so it is interesting and such to see the different approaches that they took, because both of them were about targeting at that time a segment of the culture that wasn't really the mainstay, the mainstream, just with different approaches. And so MTV, obviously, they had a lot of game shows. There was Remote Control, singled out the dating show. BET never really tried the dating thing until much later. Tiffany
Oh
and
yeah, they had that dating
my
show.
guest Hell Date, that both my guest from last week, Tiffany Mills, and I talked about. We both worked on that show. We have credits on there. Baldwin Hills still came about much, much later. I have
Yes.
credits on that too, and College Hill.
Okay.
I'm just saying. We just,
Who are you right now?
Jill Munroe. But the point being is that they had, they came up during the same time period. They both were segmenting an audience and having a lot of success at it. Because you think about the things that BET did have success with in the early 90s, like Comic View.
Oh, I love Comic View.
And, D.L. Hughley, who is right here on KBLA, Talk
Yes.
1580 in the afternoons. He was the host of that for a long time, one of the funniest hosts there. They very much dived into that. Like you said, the news aspect. MTV News was something that was very popular. And I think their overall tone was to teens, but we all did appreciate what Teen Summit was in the early years. I just feel like what happened was that as people started to mature and age out of it, it was kind of hard to get that lightning in a bottle back or replace it with something for the generation coming up that maybe didn't connect to the way that
Right.
it was rolled out, or a news program. I think that is something else that probably was missing at that time. There probably needed to be a news program for early 20 somethings. We probably, when I say we, I don't mean me personally, just in general. But at that time frame, probably were focused on being a little too serious, maybe, and it might have needed to be a little looser or attack the issues in a different way so that it could have locked in that audience and grown with them.
I think the issues around the 90s got a little bit too real for BET to handle. They weren't really to confront everything that was happening in society at that point. They just kind of glossed over it and just kind of hoped that it went away.
That's an interesting point. I feel you with that. So, moving forward, right? What do you think happens if Tyler buys BET? What do you think happens if the group of 50, Shaq, and Kenya Bears buys it? Or what do you think happens if Byron Allen purchases it? Which hands would you rather see it
I
in?
would really, ultimately, I would prefer to see Byron Allen with BET. Only because Byron has been the underdog for a very, very long time.
Has he though?
Come on.
You think so?
Come on, Jill Munroe.
Here, let me tell you why.
He's always
I'm
been
pushing back
on
this.
after midnight in his career. No one knows who this man is unless you've up after midnight.
But let's talk about why he is on after midnight. Here's the thing. Byron Allen is a very savvy businessman.
Absolutely.
And the way that he conducts his business and some of the moves he makes might seem on the surface to be, oh, he's being overlooked, or oh, he's getting pushed to the back. But it's very strategic. He bought all that airtime. It was already paid for. He produced and paid for his shows himself. So he got cheaper rates. He used the setup. I watched an interview, I think it was, or listened to, this was some time ago, with Byron Allen and Karen Hunter, and he talked about his approach.
Karen Hunter.
Right? He talked about his approach as far as his business model and what he was doing with his networks and things. He mentioned that he purposely formed relationships with our Caucasic brothers and sisters.
Yes.
And reached out to other outlets and avenues to learn what they were doing, to see how he could apply it. And he his approach with a lot of things was a counter programming strategy. So when I ask you, do you really think that he was overlooked? I say that saying that as I don't think that his main concern was to be the focal point in the way that we generally think.
Right. I believe that again, he's the underdog for all the reasons that you stated. He did not have necessarily the mainstream backing, the mainstream name as Tyler Perry. But I think that that's where the opportunity lies. We haven't really seen what he can do all the way yet.
I mean, but well, here's the
we've got an
thing.
idea, a glimpse of
Because
it.
he has, I mean, is it Aspire or Bounce that he
Bounce.
had Bounce that he
Yes.
has some programming on, right? So we've seen the type of programming he likely would put out. Byron is a product of the 80s, that whole
Old
comedy
school.
scene,
Yes.
old school. He used to be on this show called Real People, I remember. Or was it Real People or That's Incredible?
No, it was Real People.
It was Real People.
And then he
okay.
had the Entertainers with Brian Allen show.
Right, right,
Yeah.
right. Where he would interview, his
Yes.
celebrity guests. Again, taking that syndication model and turning it on his ear, where he was putting out less financially, but receiving more benefits. So I think he is extremely savvy. I think that he makes smart moves, but I don't know that he would be the best for BET.
I think that he would bring back the sports and the news divisions, and kind of revamp the station of what we know it to be or what it used to be. I like Tyler Perry, and I think that he would lead it in a good direction. But I also think that
A little stale.
not stale. I
He
like
has
some of
an
his stuff.
audience.
He has a nice audience, and his stuff, he's improved over time. I think that he is just stretched too thin creatively, and he doesn't release the reins to let other people under him do things, so we can see a different perspective under his umbrella. All we see is his stuff.
I mean, well, what he said is that he's going to start opening up more to that. He said that, why would you want to touch my stuff? My stuff is my stuff. You can create your own stuff, and I'm going to give you a platform to do that. So we'll see if that opens up. I believe that he will, because
And I
one,
think both of them will give platforms to Black voices and other creators. And especially I think Byron, in my mind, more so than Tyler, because I just think that he is just a person that is,
you
for.
think that really?
I-
Let me ask you
well,
a question.
let me say this.
Okay.
Before, because I think I know where you were going with that. He's very corporate,
I don't have a problem with him being corporate. I
and
don't
that is
mind
code
it's
word for.
Nope, nope, nope.
Yeah.
I don't think you can say that, but this is my question to you, right? Tell me someone, because this is usually my sort of test as to how far I rock with someone in that position, especially someone that is put up to be a mentor, so to speak, or, that is spreading love in the community. Who has come up under Byron Allen? Who Black has come up and worked their way through the ranks, been promoted, gone on to do something else? Because to me, your legacy means nothing if you don't open a path or open a doorway for someone to come and follow behind you. And everyone that is great, everyone that really makes an impact, they open the door, they hold the door open, and they help someone behind them to, get to the next level. They do that for them because they know that one person as an individual or one entity is not going to get it done. And if you don't reach back and help someone that is in the same position that you were at one point in time, are you really standing for your people? And so I'm not saying that Byron hasn't done it. I'm just saying I'm unaware of it. I've never heard someone say, oh, Byron Allen was my protege. I mean, not my protege, my mentor. I'm his protege. He gave me a lot of game. He put me in position to win. And so, again, I'm not mad at what he does. I think he is so savvy, but are you helping Black people? Are you really involved in that? Or is it sort of, hey, I'm Black and I should win and you should want me to win? I do, but I also want to see you helping others in that. So
I can't think of off the top of my head anybody that has come up under him or any of them for that matter. Now, what I will say is that we have seen Tyler Perry give a lot of black actors jobs.
Right. So we're going to put a pin in that. We're going to talk more about that when we come forward about helping and reaching back. You are checking out KBLA Talk 1580 RSVP with Jill Munroe. Stick and stay.
Trending topics and the hottest happenings. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
If you're a business owner or lead a nonprofit that's between 26 and 49 employees, please listen. Lendistry is proud to announce a new program whereby small businesses and nonprofits may qualify for reimbursement of COVID sick leave expenses incurred in 2021 or 2022. This program is administered by the California Office of the Small Business Advocate. Eligibility criteria apply and funding is limited. For more information, visit COVIDPaidSick.com. If you're a business owner or lead a nonprofit that has between 26 and 49 employees, please listen. Lendistry is proud to announce a new program whereby small businesses and nonprofits may qualify for reimbursement of COVID sick leave expenses incurred in 2021 or 2022. This program is administered by the California Office of the Small Business Advocate. For more information, visit COVIDPaidSick.com.
You're listening to K-Dread, where we play all the best classic water-wasting hits like Sprinklers in the Rain and Leaky Faucets. They're tunes from another time because now that we face a hotter, drier future, every drop counts. Despite an extremely wet winter, keep using less water, fixing leaks, and reusing indoor water for your garden. Visit SaveOurWater.com for more ways to conserve. Up next, brushing your teeth with the water on. K-Dread.
If your Medi-Cal is ending, Cover California is here to help. Cover California is a service from the state that helps you get affordable health insurance. In many cases, at no cost to you, just like with Medi-Cal. We have quality health plans and will help you every step of the way to get the one that works for you and your family. So, if you're no longer eligible for Medi-Cal, check out Cover California. We'll keep you covered. Learn more at coveredca.com.
The pandemic may be over, but many Angelinos could be at risk of losing the place they call home. It's important to know your rights as a residential renter in the city of LA. Did you know eviction protection still exists for unpaid COVID-19 rental debt that was due before March 31st, 2023? And that you have 5 days to respond to an eviction notice, also known as an unlawful detainer. Learn more about your rental rights at housing.lacity.org. Be informed, be protected, be at home.
Mom's early Alzheimer's diagnosis was hard to take.
And when I left the oven on, we decided together that it was time to see a doctor and make a plan.
Early detection gave us more time to seek out information and support as a family.
If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together. For more information, visit alz.org/time to talk. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Keeping you informed, entertained, and always ahead of the curve. This is RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Hey, it's Jill Munroe. You are checking out RSVP with me, and sitting in with me tonight is my contributor, Trent the artist. Trent, you were about to make a point before we came forward, so let's circle back to it.
Yes, thanks for listening, everybody. And also, I don't know who, let's see, you asked Byron Allen. I don't know, I can't name a person off the top of my head who he has directly supported, he's mentored. I can't name a person that Tyler has directly mentored, but what I can say is that he has provided a platform for black actors and actresses. He's built a whole studio, a whole economy down there where he is. So that's a directly supporting somebody. You know, those people can look at him as mentors. I don't know. We don't know about Byron Allen, but also too, a lot of the times when you are black in these positions, you have to be kind of quiet about who you help and how you help them. So we don't know his reach at all. We usually don't hear these things until people pass away, unfortunately.
Right, that is true. But I just, again, who's the number 2 in Byron Allen's company? We don't know. We don't know.
Don't know.
And so I understand that you're right. There are absolutely stories and situations where people are helping people behind the scenes. And to your point, unless someone passes on or something really large, traumatic, or something happens, we don't know about these situations.
Yeah.
However, we can look at your workforce, right? We can look at who you bring in. We can look who is your second in command. We can look at who is producing or involved in the productions that you're involved with and gauge, at least to some degree, how you feel about those situations. And for me, when I look around, if some of those things are absent, it doesn't mean that I'm automatically like, oh, this person isn't real or they're not doing what they're thinking. But it's a question. It's just something that you notice, and you're just kind of like, want to see how that plays out.
But you to your point earlier, you said that he was a strategist and he went to the other side to get information. So maybe he couldn't get the information from other black people, because sometimes we have this thing where I don't want to pass on information because I don't want this person to surpass me, and I don't want to create this level of competition. So he probably went around the other way because he couldn't get it from us. But he also produces content that is for us, about us. So maybe people will say the same thing about Tyler Perry.
I'm just kidding with that. I'm just saying, on the Weather Channel, it's
Well, we don't count
I'm joking.
that.
I'm joking.
So we don't.
What about the Pet Channel?
I'm thinking about Griot.
The Griot.
I'm thinking about Griot specifically.
There's no scripted content on there, isn't? I don't believe. I think it is all
news,
unscripted.
yeah.
Docuseries.
Yeah.
We'll see. There's evolution. J. Lou in the chat asks why BET never showed cultural events such as live black theater productions, poetry, and performances, for example, from the Alvin Ailey Dance Company. So one, I don't know if that is true. I think that there have been times when they have shown or licensed some stage plays and things of that nature, but it all comes down to business and licensing. Who comes to them, who they have money for, who they believe advertisers will buy in for. Of course, that has changed over time. One thing that I can say that was sort of a reoccurring theme, at least when I was at BET, that we would hear whispered about, is that a lot of time, as far as sales and ad dollars go, people felt that black people were automatically going to watch TV. They were automatically going to watch entertainment. So you didn't have to invest in their ad dollars in the same way that you would for, an MTV or an MTV2. And that there was a lot of shortchanging that was going on. So networks that should have gotten more in the form of revenue through advertising missed out on that, just because of some of those internal biases that happen within companies and how they value our content, so to speak. When we come forward, we're going to touch on that. We're going to talk a little bit more about our trending topics, and we're going to wrap up our thoughts around BET and its future going forward.
Bring back Sita's World.
Bring back Sita's World. I don't think the world can handle Sita, even though it's a bunch of Sitas out there running the world. You're listening to KBLA Talk 1580, RSVP with Jill Munroe.
We're just hyping it up. You know just how it had to be. Just take a look around, boy. Can't you see? Guys up on rushing. Girls are just blushing. Whiz rocks the scratch. While Herb's on percussion. Setting the stage for the stage to get set off. I bust a rhyme and a dance and just jet off. So get off because you bit off more than you can chew. Now watch the dynamic duo do. Well, they're the go-go thing. Come on, rock and swing. You gotta roll with Kid and Play. Now everybody sing.
Infusing us into fun and entertainment in every episode. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward.
I'm Amber Payton. Here's the latest on the Black Information Network. It's the NYPD commissioner's last week on the job, and Mayor Adams remains tight-lipped about the replacement process.
Bigger than the bread box, smaller than the ant. I'm not doing that. And when I'm ready to make the announcement, I'm going to make the announcement.
The mayor says he will make the decision and is excited to make the announcement, once again praising outgoing Commissioner Keyshawn Sewell, who is black. The White House is giving the final go-ahead to New York City's controversial congestion pricing plan. The Federal Highway Administration gave the green light to the first in U.S. plan. That means drivers are one step closer to being charged to enter below Manhattan 60th Street, which could begin in 2024. Congestion pricing is meant to reduce traffic and is projected to bring in roughly $1 billion for the city every year. That's the latest. I'm Amber Payton on your home for 24/7 News, the Black Information Network.
Progressive Commercial Insurance can protect your small business with over 30 coverage options, an easy-to-use mobile app, personalized discounts, and more. Get a quote in as little as 6 minutes at progressivecommercial.com. Discounts and coverage selections not available in all states or situations.
KBLA Talk 1580 is dedicated to empowering our communities by providing progressive talk radio for our audience. We strive to be an intersectional voice for the voiceless. As a Black-owned and operated station, we are committed to highlighting diverse perspectives and creating safe spaces for meaningful dialogue. We believe that everyone has something unique to bring to these political, economic, social, and cultural conversations, and we don't shy away from the hard conversations about current events. We endeavor to be a beacon of hope and understanding, while boldly challenging listeners to think more deeply about difficult topics that impact us all. With this in mind, our mission statement at KBLA Talk 1580 is simple: to create an inclusive platform that promotes civil discourse through honest dialogue and encourages personal growth among our listeners, so they can become the active agents of change. Our vision is to establish ourselves as the premier radio network with relevant programming across the beloved community, connecting people through shared experiences and collective power for lasting impact beyond these challenging times.
Did you know that all City of LA renters have rights? Check out these 3 facts. Residential tenants can't be evicted without reason or just cause. Eviction protection still exists for unpaid COVID-19 rental debt due before March 31st, 2023. And you have 5 days to respond to an eviction notice. 5 days. Many Angelenos may be at risk of losing their home, and that's why we want you to know your rights. Learn more at housing.lacity.org. Be informed, be protected, be at home.
Are you looking to steer your career in a new direction? Driving for Culver City Bus can be your ticket to a long-lasting career with excellent benefits and paid training. Culver City Bus is looking for customer service and safety-minded bus operators to join the growing team. Culver City Bus offers on-the-job training starting at $19.10 per hour, uniform allowance, and health benefits. Culver City Bus is a great employer. Let Culver City Bus connect you with an essential service job. If you enjoy driving, seek real opportunities for career advancement, and passionate about making a difference in the community, then you are invited to join the Culver City Bus team. Start your journey today by submitting an application at culvercity.org/job. For more info, visit culvercitybus.com or call live customer service operators at 310-253-6500.
Sometimes we lose, sometimes we win, sometimes we try to fit it all in, sometimes we don't know what's in store, sometimes we find what we're looking for, sometimes we're rolling easy and free. Sometimes 1 and 1 makes 3. So much to love along this ride. That's why Nationwide is on your side.
Nationwide Mutual Insurance Company and Affiliates, Columbus, Ohio.
KBLA Talk 1580 stands for Unity and Healing. African Focus Incorporated is a nonprofit organization based in California that focuses on the growth and well-being of Africans all around the world. Their mission is to promote the well-being of people of African descent through knowledge and appreciation of one another by building a bridge of love and understanding. African Focus Incorporated strives for cultural, educational, and economic growth. They're the organization behind the African Family Induction Ceremony, African Goodwill Awards, African Focus Trailblazer Tours, African Dance Competition, and Showcase Los Angeles, Family Day, Good News Windows Microfinance Project, and more. To volunteer, travel with African Focus, or to attend one of their community building events, please call 310-676-7730. That's 310-676-7300. Or visit africanfocus.org. This is a diaspora-wide community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. Curating the most compelling stories and delivering them straight to your ears. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
I was getting my little life. Welcome forward. You are checking out RSVP with Jill Munroe. We are getting to it, covering all the trending topics, recapping the BET Awards, looking forward to BET's future and debating whether or not they will still be relevant and if they should still hold the cultural space that they once held in all of our hearts. And before I go ahead with all of that, we didn't stop and take a moment to shout out Michael Jackson. Yesterday, It marked 14 years since the passing of Michael Jackson. We miss him. We miss his presence. We miss his brilliance. We miss his artistry. And
I miss the trolling the most.
Michael was a troll.
Most Virgos are trolls.
Is that what it is?
They're trolls. They like to have fun and troll.
And perfectionists.
Yeah.
So shout out to MJ. I mean, wow, so much has happened in that time frame. We've seen many try to touch the hem of his...
Yes, the king of the BET Awards, Chris Brown.
Listen, don't be calling Chris. But to your point, Chris Brown, I think, as far as a male performer, probably has the most wins or nominations of any male performer as far as the BET Awards.
That's why I call him that, because he's always there.
I mean, and to be fair, like when we think about the BET Awards, they've only been around for about 20 years.
20 years, yeah.
So, whereas the MTV Awards and Soul Train Awards both dropped originally in '84, and of course, BET now owns or is, in partnership.
Soul Train.
I don't know if it's exact ownership. I think it's ownership. We know they produce it and they air it, but it's just an extension of it. And
do you remember the first BET Awards?
I do. Which Monique was the host, or was it Will and Jada that were the host?
I don't remember who the host was, but what I do remember is Whitney Houston.
Is that the one where she called Bobby the king of R&B?
That's when she got up there and said, "You better chill. You better lay low.
You better lay low."
Yeah, 2001, and she got out and she did the whole Destiny's Child. I'm a survivor. What? She was lit. I loved it. Mm-hmm.
I mean, come through.
Very
Shout
first
out
BET
to
Awards.
Whitney Houston.
You know what they don't have anymore is the BET Honors. That was a good clean program. Whatever happened to that?
It's a lot of award shows.
Yeah.
A lot of things to budget for.
But they did it wasn't just entertainers. They did community people
and
business people. They kind of highlighted Black excellence.
The last time I believe that it aired was right before the pandemic. I think it is a casualty of the pandemic. I think that is what happened. That's what took it down. When you think about, though, some of the best moments in BET Awards history, so you got to put Monique when she hosted and she came out as Beyonce.
Yes.
That you got to put the actual Destiny's Child when they pulled Magic, Terrence Howard, and Nelly out of the audience. Terrence Howard's face. Listen, I don't know if he was acting and just like, I'm going to give him a show too, or if he was really feeling that, but that was incredible.
He was just being extra. He, I'm not even going to say I don't want to be offensive tonight, but he was being a Pisces. Let's just say that.
Jesus.
And the drama.
All of these astrological references that you're dropping on us.
That's the first one I made on air tonight.
No.
Isn't it?
No. You just talked about
one.
Virgos.
Yes.
Yeah. So, nope,
Sorry.
you're in your bag tonight.
Well, I get it because I'm a Pisces too. So.
Okay, so let's talk for a second, right? When last night on the BET Awards,
Mm-hmm.
they had that segment with Luke and Trina and Trick Daddy.
Oh my
baby.
God.
I know, it was pumping.
was so excited for Luke. You had to have been there. I talked about this morning on my show. Was it the 15-minute Luke workout or the 20-minute Luke workout? It was one of those numbers, 15 or 20, and it predated the Kanye workout. You had to have been there.
And it was cracking. And
I loved it.
You know, we were getting it popping without artificial enhancements.
Absolutely.
And still getting in trouble. So I guess the lesson in that is whether you got too much or not enough, or it's just right, people still gonna have an issue with it. But anyway, so we've discussed where BET has been. We've discussed sort of where they started to make the change and things started to veer off into a different direction. You know, they didn't have their first scripted series until 2007. First time, that's when they jumped into that arena. But now...
What show was that?
Somebody's. It was a show called Somebody's. It was about slackers in Atlanta. I have credits on that show, too.
You know what?
Yeah.
See, that's why you know, because I'm like, wait, but I don't even remember that.
It came on briefly, and it was like... It was a cool show. It was very Southern, but it didn't really find an audience. And I don't know how long we really gave it to find an audience, but it didn't really find an audience. But what I do think about is the fact that for 43 years, BET has been around, right? Right now, the primary channel reaches more than 90 million households. And that includes the U.S., Canada, the Caribbean, the UK, and sub-Saharan Africa.
Wow.
Yes. So that means fans in the Middle East can conceivably
100 million people. That is massive.
So obviously BET is relevant. It sets the tone worldwide, but what its future looks like, we don't know. We know streaming will be heavily a part of it. I would be curious to know kind of as far as views, where they're tracking more. Are people looking more on linear television, or are they looking at the streaming? I know that there's been several shows that have come up from streaming onto linear, and I wonder which one is leading the charge. Like, are they finding more eyes when they come to TV, or are they coming to TV because they're so popular and linear, people want to be able to see it in all forms or fashion? We know it'll still be relevant. We know that depending upon which entity takes it on, it's going to develop a whole new personality. I just hope that it maintains its respect in the culture, which is something that's hard to do these days.
Everything is hard to do because there's so many different things to consume that we don't know where to look and where to go, next. So it's constant movement. It's like you can't.
Oh, well, we know where to look. Right here, KBLA Talk 1580 RSVP with Jill Munroe.
That too. But there's so much content to consume. It's like, you have to have a hook or something that is going to make people watch and stay. But, I think it's a toss-up too. Certain people are always going to watch TV, and certain people are just going to always stream and watch on their phones until we can't do it anymore.
So let me ask you this. Are there any shows or any type of content that you prefer? Like, you may, if you watch it on your phone, but you would never watch it on a TV, or vice versa?
I don't watch anything on my phone.
At all?
If I do, it's short clips. It's probably YouTube or something like that, but it's not like a 30-minute show. It's 5 or 10 minutes, if that. It's nothing longer than 10 minutes. I'm not going to lay down and do this number. I'm not doing all. I need to sit up on a TV and watch it. Or we have wonderful technology now, so we can take our phone and tie it into Apple TV it or whatever. So I'm not holding the phone. I'm gonna find a way to put it on the big screen and sit back and watch it because I'm a person of a certain age.
Okay. You don't think that people are making the switch? They're making the transformation?
No, my mother is not holding a phone to watch a program.
What about her iPad?
She is watching television. She watches YouTube on her phone, but a long program, a movie, she's not doing it.
Okay, fair enough. Well, when we come forward, we will wrap up this conversation. We'll give you a little sneak peek of what you can expect on RSVP with Jill Munroe tomorrow, and we will relay some of your comments in the chat because you guys are still lit in the chat, and we appreciate you rocking with us. You are checking out KBLA Talk 1580.
RSVP with Jill Munroe is your go-to show for staying in the know. More engaging conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
In 2020, California established the first in the nation task force to study reparations for African Americans. Their responsibility is to examine and recommend to the California State Legislature potential remedies of compensation, rehabilitation, and restitution for African Americans, with a special consideration for the descendants of persons enslaved in the United States. We encourage you to join the final meeting of the task force in Sacramento on Thursday, June 29th, starting at 9 a.m. in the first floor auditorium of the March Fong Yu Secretary of State Building. To learn more about reparations and the task force, visit the California Department of Justice website at oag.ca.gov, where you can also get details about how to participate in the hearing virtually if you cannot participate in person on Thursday, June 29th for this final public hearing where the task force will present their final recommendations. For more information, reach out to Charles Communication Group at 888-326-0010. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
This is Tyrone celebrating the 75th anniversary of Black Radio, and June is Black Music Month. Brought to you by Procter & Gamble.
Don't you know that I heard it through the grapevine? Not much longer would you be mine. Don't you know that I heard it through the grapevine?
From their first big hit in 1967, I Heard It Through the Grapevine, I always did love me some Gladys Knight and the Pips. They were a superior singing group.
He's leaving on that midnight train to Georgia.
To the Grammy-winning single, Love Overboard.
Love overboard, love overboard. My love's in need of help. Love overboard, love overboard. I sure can't help myself. Love overboard.
Let's widen all views to the resilience, joy, beauty, and vastness of the Black experience. Learn more at pg.com/widen the screen.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 joins you in standing for voting rights. When We All Vote is a leading national nonpartisan initiative on a mission to change the culture around voting and to increase participation in each and every election by helping to close the race and age gap. Created by Michelle Obama, When We All Vote brings together individuals, institutions, brands, and organizations to register new voters across the country and advance civic education for the entire family and voters of every age to build an informed and engaged electorate for today and generations to come. When We All Vote empowers their supporters and volunteers to take action through voting, advocating for their rights, and holding their elected officials accountable. Please visit whenweallvote.org to stand up for your rights, voting rights. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Now back to more captivating conversation on RSVP with Jill Munroe.
Hey, it's Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580, sitting here with my good friend, my contributor, Trent the artist. You know what we haven't done tonight, Trent?
What have we not
We
done?
have not shared where everyone can check out your podcast.
Oh, yes. They can stream it live Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, 6 a.m. Pacific, 9 a.m. on the East at bktradio.com. Or Spotify on demand. It's In the Mix with Trent. They can type it in and subscribe.
And what about your socials? Because you know they want to follow you for more hot commentary.
It's drama on Twitter. So if you like
drama,
if you like chaos in the middle of your day and to spit out water while you're reading and scrolling on Twitter, you can follow me on Twitter at Trent the Artist. The Instagram is a little more mild at Trent the Artist as well.
And while you're doing all of that following, make sure you're hitting up KBLA and all of their socials, KBLA 1580, so that you can be in the know and keep up with all of our new and exciting avenues that we are exploring here. And you got to follow me at Stiletto Jill everywhere: Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok. I do have a TikTok.
I have a
the
TikTok as
Tickety-Tock.
well, and I don't use it. I have 2 videos up. Maybe I'll make more.
Mine is just kind of there. I put stuff up every once in a while, but TikTok feels a little young for me.
It's
sometimes,
very young.
you know. And the thing is, in theory, I like the dances, but I don't know if I actually want to record myself and add them to the fray.
Yeah, the lighting has to be right.
The lighting has to be right. The choreography has to be right. Who's gonna hold it? Because sometimes the tripod is not on point.
Yeah, it's a no.
So anyway,
yes.
As we wrap up the night, you know, we're coming down to the final thoughts of the evening.
Yes.
So we have BET. We have streaming channels like All Black. We have things like within Netflix, Strong Black Lead that focuses on Black content, Black entertainment, and that nature. Are we hanging on to BET as a leader simply because it's all we had at one point?
Of course, and it reaches 90 million people, so we're not going to stop watching BET, even if it's to criticize it.
But do we watch it now? Do we?
I watched it last night.
Awards? Outside of the awards, that's the key thing.
I don't watch TV at all, really.
That's a cop-out. That wasn't the question.
No, I genuinely don't watch a lot of TV. So, I in my mind, like, I stopped watching BET when the videos went off because I was a video person. So,
see, look, Andy's like, I told you.
And now I'm circling back to his point, of course, but who was making videos? I mean, we lived in the video killed the radio star. So we lived in the
first
video.
song played on MTV back in the day.
We lived in a video era. So, and it's not that medium anymore.
Listen, I think BET needs to go back to the arabesque films and all of that. I mean, if you think about it, in theory, things
Arabesque
like
films.
Tubi and
I love it.
Those type of outlets, they are sort of carrying the torch of those type of films that used to air on BET in the late 90s, early 2000s.
If we're going to bring back stuff, we should go to what J. Louis 27 is saying in the comments. We should bring back the Luke's Peep Show for Action PPV.
Yeah.
And we should also bring back the United Negro College Fund Evening with the Stars telethon and bring back the hologram of Lou Rawls so he can host it.
Do you think that
The hologram, I'm sorry.
I heard you. Do you think that telethons in this era work because we're so exposed to celebrity? Because
Andy, come on, be cool back there. In the age of Joanna Scammer, telethons are not going to work because everyone's calling it with bogus credit card information. And, I mean, we might get a few cash apps, you know?
And plus, you could just pop out a GoFundMe. What do we really need to take up airtime for all of that?
Telethons are a beautiful thing of the past. Like I would love to sit up and answer a ringing phone while pledging $5 while watching Anita Baker host. Yes,
Anita Baker.
Yeah,
that would be a short-lived program.
Clearly, but she's hot right now for causing chaos and drama. So let her come on TV and be useful.
Auntie Anita wants no parts of you people.
She don't want parts of nothing at all. She is down to the church.
To hit on stage, do what she does, and go home. J. Lou brings up the combination of Showtime BET. We don't know if that is going to remain with the sale of the network. All of those type of things and pieces are up in the air. It is undetermined what will follow through. We know that BET Her, and VH1 will be a part of the fray, but will things like Showtime BET last? They've already pulled back on it. If you kind of look at some of the programming that was put out there, the branding, you don't see it as much. So, you know, business is businessing. We have to be patient and wait to see how this all nets out. I just want it overall to be a win for us. And I think that it will be, because the ultimate goal is to return it to Black ownership in some form, fashion, or capacity.
I just don't want to see Power 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 10 take over the new BET if that deal goes through.
But you're okay with Sister, The Oval, Ruthless, and all of that?
It's a variety, and I love the Rakadashi. I especially want Ruthless and all the Queens of Men, of course.
I mean, but here's the thing, though. If a creator has a certain style or theme that they run across their content, isn't that part of why we love them and why we run to them?
Kind of.
Kind of.
But, I'm not really, I was just, joking around.
I know. I'm just asking, though.
People, as a creator myself, you can only really create what you know about and what you're familiar with. So I'm not mad at what people, create. They can only, do in the scope of what they know.
Listen, I like crime dramas. We covered the other night that if you go to sleep to these type of programs, which I do sometimes because it's comforting, you might be a little psycho. I don't personally think that I am. I don't think that is a problem. But I do, if I was watching like horror movies or something like that, that would be a problem. But a little Law and Order before you go to bed, come on, Stain.
Definitely not. I love SVU.
Yeah.
What's the new one that
Vincent
has criminal intent?
Criminal Intent.
Yeah, I like that one.
You like that one?
With Stabler and the Black
And
Girl.
they have the crossover episodes and so forth. Yeah.
I need to catch up. I was going through a breakup on the last episode's air, so I need to go back and.
What does you going through a breakup have to do with
Because we
Law
used
and
to
Order?
watch it together.
So you had to tap out.
Yeah.
Because it was.
I'll go back and circle by myself.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it won't bring up those memories.
Definitely
you won't be
not.
like Misty.
I've moved on.
You've moved on.
Quickly.
Okay. But you haven't revisited it yet, even though you've moved on.
Yeah. Because I've been busy with other stuff. I've been here.
Okay.
And sleeping.
Oh, blame me. Okay.
And walking out of Jill Scott concerts.
Okay. Listen. Don't do it.
I left.
Don't do it.
I wasn't the only one.
Explain.
200 people left.
Explain.
Well, we have a short amount of time, but
right.
Long story short, I went to the Jill Scott concert. She came out cursing. I thought it was a rap concert. She said, "B, my mic is on. All these other B's can't sing like me. I don't have tricks on my mic." It was just.
You don't like a little bit of bravado?
I do, but it was not on brand for her for sis.
You don't think so? I mean,
not at all.
When Jill Scott first came out, what was she talking about? On Long Walk, she was talking about taking off her earrings
and greasing up and fighting.
Yeah.
And then she said that she evolved from that, and then she went right back to it. So I didn't know what to believe. I was confused and perplexed, and after 5 songs, I left.
Maybe she's like Erykah Badu, who said, she's still peace, but these Newports and what?
But that's on brand for Erykah Badu.
Always get those hands.
She's always saying wild out stuff. We don't get to see Jill Scott do wild out energy. She's always poised and whoo and hi and I.
But she came out the gate saying she was going to grease up her face and take off the
It don't
earrings.
match. You can't be in the interviews poised and acting like you're one way and then
Why not?
You know what we call that?
What do we call it?
We call that fake, and we call that untrustworthy, and we don't like you.
What about
people
someone,
get canceled for that?
Okay, let me ask you a question. What about someone who, might have that dog in them, but knows how to pull it together and be polished and refined because that is how they are able to function through society and be able to do the things that they want to do?
Sure, I left though. It was a fun time. I watched the songs that I liked from the album, and it was getting late.
It's getting late. Wrong group, Flowetry, but
I know. And I had to leave.
Well, I want to thank you guys for checking out this episode of RSVP with Jill Munroe. When you come forward, the next voice that you hear or the next voice says will be the best of KBLA Talk 1580. Thank you for rocking with us. Make sure you are checking in tomorrow night, 9 p.m. to midnight. We will have more trending headlines, more exciting topics. Tomorrow night, we will be talking sports. So get ready for that. I'm Jill Munroe. Make sure you hit me up at Stiletto Jill, KBLA Talk 1580.
KB, Kobe.
Your love's a sword, slicing gently through my body, burn so sweet. Blood boils when you speak, makes me weak, but I refuse to weep. Yet when I sleep, I feel tears trickling down my cheek. Stay strong, pride telling me move on. My heart's fighting me, forcing me to hold on. Yours forever, fell for you beyond measure, pure as ever, unfazed by sins of treasure.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
Welcome to a Monday, everyone. I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from the